Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, and I'm pretty much doing a random discussion video. But yeah, a few things I wanted to talk about too, because some stuff I normally don't talk about, and then there's others that definitely need to get addressed because, like I said in a previous video, there's been a little bit of confusion about this one thing I want to talk about in here. But first and foremost, like I don't really say too much on the events, but I actually do like this one mainly because of the storyline and all that. Because I mean, like I put in the comment, it kind of did hit me in the feels a little bit. I mean, you can't help but feel sorry for Flority, and it's one of the things about this too, because like some events really do have you feel sorry for that, but then there's other situations where I will admit Daki is incredibly hot, at least by appearance, anyways, and that's not a pun considering she's a fire character, but can't deny that she's honestly a flat out bitch. She thinks she can sit up and just rule and control everything at will. There's some cases where you just feel like that, but still can't deny how good she is because her kid's extremely good for this type of fight. I mean, she'll give you some wind resistance, which I haven't confirmed, but I think it lowers the chances of you getting debuffed. But then on top of that too, she also puts you in rampaging, which is in its own multiplier. That's something I'll talk about later. And then she gives you a combo boost, which comes with an absorb. Fire needs as much healing as they can get. Combined with Amaterasu's regen, you can actually get a lot of your HP back, depending on what happens. Because I think each time you land a hit with the absorb, I think it's 200 HP recovered, and then with Amaterasu's regen, that's another 300, I do believe. So that said, you can get a crap ton of health back if done correctly per turn. I think it'll be like 900 for the first 2 turns and then another 300 for the last one. So it's on par with like Soul's Healing if you get the most potential out of it. But there's other characters that also was pretty good with this too, which is why I got this set up. I mean, everybody knows about Sevarog. Again, healing, so of course Fire Amaterasu is very good. She also comes with a debuff too, so that really helped out with that. If not Amaterasu, Yamaraja would help too, because in place of the healing, she'll block out some status effects and give you a fire attack buff. Honestly, using them both could help you too, because if one debuff fails, the other one will take its place. But it seems pretty easy to debuff 40, especially if you lower her resistance. But Prometheus. I randomly pulled her a long while back, and she's been showing quite a bit of worth in some stuff. Anytime there's a wind enemy popping up, I'm whipping out my fire team and bringing up Prometheus because of two things. One, she's got some very, very good defenses against wind. One move will lower the wind element for the enemy, and then one assist ability, if she gets hit, gives you a 10% protection against it. Now it's overwritten with Daki's, but it is a 2-turn protection. But yeah, Daki would bump it up to 40%. It doesn't stack with hers. I wish it did, or I'd have 50%. But Prometheus is good in that aspect. I'm not gonna send out help. But the other thing is that Prometheus also has a little bit of turn manipulation with a paralyze, in fact, which hopefully it wins. You might have seen it in previous videos. But yeah, that's extremely good. Oh, why am I getting the connection lag? See, this is a crap I hate sometimes. Sometimes I get a connection lag and it's weird. But that can also lead to another thing I wanted to talk about. Like sometimes you'll see connection lags and whatnot. Don't really get discouraged about it. Sometimes it's a server side, and other times it's just the content you're facing. Because when a lot of people jump into a raid, it starts getting really wonky. There is so many times I went into a Ragnarok raid and it did a lot of crap. Where it's like I just couldn't do anything. Hey, I wonder if I get the paralyze. Nope. But I meant to put the rampaging buff on. Whoops. Well, don't matter because this person is on my friend list and they're really strong. I think they also had a Belial as well. I'm not surprised they're using mine. But that's the thing. It's like when it comes to some things, Prometheus is a very, very good character, and then other cases she can still help. Like even if you don't get the wind attack on the one skill, that same exact skill increases the amount of turns it takes for an enemy to go into their strongest move. Usually, some triggers are stronger, but that would be their burst, which is when the dots fill up and they get their next turn. But she'll extend that by one, just like how what's her name Mordred would do that. So yeah, and then again, correct me if I'm wrong because I don't know this for sure, but I think anything that involves elemental effects like elemental attack up or defense down or something like that manipulates how often you can pull off buffs and debuffs. And holy crap, I'm not joining those Ragnaroks. But yeah, that's the whole thing with that. With the wind attack down on a boss, I think they're more susceptible to debuffs. Same thing as if I put a fire resistance down. So I think they're more capable of getting debuffed like that. And I think I'm less capable of getting debuffed with some wind protection since the enemy's wind. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's how it can work. I know it definitely does work in the case of defense down. That's what makes Tsukiyomi so good on my light team because it counts as a defense drop, but also a resistance drop. And combined with Tish being able to sip and do a natural resistance drop, that's two types of resistance drops right there. Making debuffing a lot easier if they both can land. I think I'll send help with this one, I don't know. Sorry if you hear anything in the background because of course don't live alone. But anyways, sometimes it can get pretty loud downstairs. But anyways, there's let's see here. Severog, you already know about her. The whole thing with Amaterasu versus Yamaraja, because one has a debuff and then one has a lower debuff and the other has like debuff resistance and stuff like that. It's weird, it's wonky, but oh whoops, I forgot to hit him with this. It's up in the air, honestly. Sometimes you don't need a healing, sometimes you do need both. And then there's other cases where it's like, okay, whatever. Like, granted, if my team wasn't very solid right now, I probably would have Yamaraja with in place of Prometheus. Because that really, really helps. But yeah, it's just how it is. Because I'm talking and playing at the same time, I'm kind of losing my train of thought a little bit, you can tell. But yeah. Now, second thing, since I just now did it, and it reminded me of it, the rampaging buff goes in its own frame of the damage formula. Now, when I say in its own frame of the damage formula, what that means is there's multiple ways to increase your damage, and sometimes they go on different multipliers. If they're on different multipliers, that's way more potential damage. Like, for instance, Arthur and Severog have two different types of attack buffs, but they still only increase assault temporarily. That rampaging buff temporarily increases your attack power as well, but on a far different part of the damage formula. That's what I mean by that. That's where special attack would fall into place and all that type of stuff, because we have stingers, we now got special attack, water's got vigor. I know I keep saying a lot of this stuff in the videos, but I definitely want to drive this point across. Different multipliers can do a lot, and that's part of the reason why Diablos is set up the way she is, because if you can just naturally get that 100%, then hands down the very best combo would be to use Diablos with 100% Eidolon, and you would massively spike your damage. Massively. I mean, granted, the most elemental attack you would probably get is like 170. But keep in mind, you would have your assault times that 170, that 170% elemental attack, which is really 2.7 multiplier. And then the special attack would double the result because it's on its own multiplier. And that's not including Stinger, which is in its own multiplier if it works, and then Rampaging buff, which also will be technical later down the line. I've looked it up and found that out. So the normal attack increase for technical, yeah, it's in its own multiplier too. So this can potentially spike your damage to some astronomical levels. I even added this up, but if for some reason, if I manage to get Monogarmer and then eventually take a 45% special Adon as a friend, it's almost on par as a second Monogarmer with the multipliers factored in. That's how strong separate multipliers is. That is less than half of the percentage increase, but since it's in its own multiplier, it's got a way better effect. Because going off of my normal stuff, I have roughly 140% assault, and then having a Monogarmer at full power would be like another 120% elemental attack with my 30% from my weapons, so it would be like 150%. So that's a 2.4 times a 2.5, and then times a 1.45 because of the special attack. I don't know how good Horse is going to be given my setup. I do have one Fire Idolin in the sub slots. I don't know how much else it does. I'm probably better off picking one of the other ones anyway. But that's the whole thing with these multipliers. So get special attack when you can. It may benefit you to get crit and trying to have somebody with a rampaging buff or something like that. You could definitely need your assault and elemental attack. Do not neglect those because those are the basics. But all these things in separate multipliers can really help you out. That's why when it comes to the offensive souls, I'm always making a point to get that critical. Because there's a 20% chance to get a 1.2 multiplier on their stuff, which is very, very good. I meant to do this. See, I keep doing this out of order. And then with Daki, I do believe she's adding a 50% rampaging multiplier on here. Somebody did it times 2. I forgot who, but they were strong for that. They were crazy good because of that. But yeah, that's the whole thing with that. Because like I said, it's like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but it might help. Because I think I'm getting like 2 types of resistances. It don't really matter how I play really, because a lot of these fights are pretty short. But that's the whole thing. It's like, think of it this way. With the most basic type of multiplier you can really try and factor in, it'd be 100% assault and 100% elemental attack. Say somebody's got that. That's rather easy to get with anybody if you played the game long enough. That would be a times 2. That would be a 2 times a 2. 2 for assault, 2 for elemental attack. Now say they got 2 for the special attack on top of that. Then that's 2 times 2 times 2. So instead of times 4, you're now getting times 8. But say they instead went for another 100% elemental attack. Then that's a times 6 instead of a times 8 because it'll be a 2 times 3. See what I'm getting at? Now, I'm not trying to like overplay special attack and all that because you still need to factor in stuff. Because like I said, if I had a full power Monogarmer, there's a Ragnarok finally, but if I had a full power Monogarmer in my as my main and then took a 45% special Adon as a sub, then it's almost as good as having a second Monogarmer at full power. Because it will be slightly stronger. I think it's like by 0.1 times multiplier total. But that's the whole thing with that. I guess I'll take that Echidna. That Echidna's pretty strong, and I didn't check the third page real well. But that's the whole thing with this. Don't overlook this type of stuff because that's the thing. When it comes to Stinger, A lot of people say it's not that great because of the randomness effect, and I can get that. But at the same time, it's still in its own frame, so that gives it a little bit more worth. When it's in its own section of the multiplier, that really can give it some worth. That's where Vigor comes in, and I honestly think Vigor's better than Pride. Not to mention, when you have both Pride and Vigor on your grid, it's going to counteract each other because, remember, Pride's stronger the less health you have, Vigor's stronger the more health you have. So if you want the most optimal increase from both, you need to really be at around like 75% health, which is still pretty high. Because the minute you hit 50%, Vigor's going to be gone. But at least in the 75%, you get the most out of both without trying to sacrifice too much. But yeah, that's the whole thing with that. It's like, I honestly think Vigor's better than Pride because Vigor is in its own frame. So that's the whole thing with that. But yeah, look at all the damage people are doing, and I'm still just debuffing the crap, which I probably don't need to do. Jesus Christ, there's 4 attack downs, and I'm about to put this elemental one just because nobody increased the charge turns. This is the other reason why they put a barrier on how much you can debuff and all that too, because let's face facts, there's ways to really lower the damage. Oh no, don't do this to me. There we go. But there's ways to really lower the damage you can take, and that's even with the 50% max on the debuffs, and then the debuffs go into each other too. Like elemental and the regular defense will do that. But before one was uncapped, I managed to just get really low damage taken just from attack debuffs alone, because I was getting a team that can get to roughly 60%. I see why they sat and did that, because it is a very big deal. You're literally taking half damage when you got a total of 50% attack downs, and then you're literally dealing double damage with the defense ones. And lo and behold, those are in its own multiplier frame too, but that's a different story, because that's where you need Kamihime or Doans that can actually put those debuffs and all that. But that's the whole thing with that one. It's like, you can really do some damage with all that type of stuff. Imagine a 100% cut. I think you would be probably doing 4 times damage. A 100% defense down. Like, I think you would literally be doing like 4 times damage. Because it's half if it's 50%, so I don't know. I don't know full details. All I know is, actually no, you'd probably be doing 10 times. It depends on the multiplier, the defense factor, because keep that in mind. Enemies do have an in-game defense factor, and if the defense buffs would just flat out erase that, then you would probably be doing like 10 times damage. Because the basic defense number is 10. And if it's lower than that, you're going to be dealing even more damage. If it's higher, you're going to be dealing less. So, given from what I'm seeing from the formula, it will more or less cut your damage by to 1/10 of what it normally be. So there'll be like another digit on these numbers. And I did that round of attacks to make sure I actually got some credit here. But because there's a lot of people in this one. Now I'm going to sit back and start buffing and see what happens. But that's the whole thing. It's when it comes down to it, if that defense wasn't factored in at all, we'd probably be doing 10 times the damage we'd normally be doing on average. So that's saying something. The other thing I hate too is when it mode changes and all that, it kind of blocks your ability commands. That sucks. I never did like that aspect. But that's the whole thing with that one. It's like, there's so much crap you could be doing, but they put a limiter on it. And that's how you really balance the game, to be quite honest. I mean, even buffs have a limit, even though they're pretty high up there. Because while we got a 50% limit on debuffs, buffs can go up to almost, I think, 150%. So you can literally get like 2.5 times the power just in buffs alone, if you somehow can get yourself up there. So if you can somehow stack up enough attack buffs to hit like 250%, then that would be huge. And that's the other reason why I say don't overlook it. I mean, heck, I got a stinger effect right there and did like 1.4, so that is a lot of damage right there. But that's the whole thing. It's like, try your best to do whatever you can on multiple frames and whatnot, because you never know. It might actually be more powerful than what you did originally intended. So that's the thing I'm trying to get across here. But one last thing too is the simple fact that trying to like factor in different types of rates for gachas and whatnot, because I know a lot of people are going crazy for Fireamon and even Diablos as well. But the whole thing is too is like try to do it when the rates are in your advantage, because right now you supposedly get a 20 times rate up on this stuff. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, because it says rate up in the actual gacha screens for Diablos, but down there in the patch notes, when you scroll down the page, it clearly says, "Oh, Diablos isn't getting the rate up." I wonder what's true or not, but definitely things that'll push the rate ups is stuff like the SSR guarantee things, miracle tickets. Sometimes when they get the elemental thing, it'll shuffle those guys in with their. Because of the fact that Diablos is in a phantom element, there will probably never be a elemental rate up for her, because she's the only phantom element in the gacha. They'll just probably increase her specifically. Probably with the other 100% on Dolans at that. Oh, there's no way I'm getting in those raids. But just try to make the most of it, because remember, you do have magic jewels that can get these rate ups. I know there was a fire rate up a while back where you could actually use magic jewels on it. But for people that are paying players, you got way more options, naturally. So, keep that in mind. But, I don't think there's anything else I'm really going to talk about. Wow, 120%. I'm really finding Belial about a good 60% of the time. So, I'm literally getting, like, triple multiplier just from my elemental attack, basically. But, and you really want to be honest, my fire team's about as strong as my light one when they're buffed. Without the buffs, then, well, actually, they're stronger when they're buffed, but, without the buffs, they're on par. I don't know why I hit friend sim, but, they'll jump in if they want to. Anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about. There's just some things I obviously wanted to point out. And, yeah, that even extends to some of the stuff we're getting from this event as well, because I know there's a Vigor water weapon in this event. My suggestion to you is to keep 1 or 2 copies of that thing, even though it's SR, because like I said, multipliers. The Vigor increases like somewhere around 12% if you get it to skill level 20, so that's 24, should you get 2 of them. Of course, don't try to drop off your assault too much, but you gotta factor in that it's in a completely different multiplier, so it can very well help you out quite a bit. So, anyways, that's all for this. I'm definitely grinding the hell out of this event, because this is still day 2 and I've done so much already. I'm really playing this every single chance I really get, and I'm off today, so I've been doing a lot of grinding. So, that's something to know about. But anyways, that's all for this video. More of this is going to come soon, because the next video is going to be the R challenge. I don't think I'm going to post it today, but I will work on creating it, because I've already recorded it. I just need to add music to it and all that. But anyways, that's all for this. I'm going to get back to grinding. Hopefully you guys are grinding as well. You might even see me in some of these raids, because I've been starting my own if I don't see any on the screen. But that's all for now, guys. Take care.